by BNI. I am so happy to have all of you here with me with another rendition of Meaghan Chitwood, powered by BNI. And today we have Neville Simpson with Headshot HSV. He is the person who did all the headshots that you see in my introduction. And not only that, but he has an absolute amazing story that I cannot wait to share with all of you. He and I have several things in common that I think you're going to get quite a kick out of. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us. As you know, hopefully you can catch us every Friday at 10 a.m. Central live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then also you can catch the replay on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So feel free to subscribe to meaghanchitwood.com there as well. Neville, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Wow. Let's talk about that intro for a minute. Oh my goodness. I'm still like...
So I always want to dance through it, and I haven't had a guest so far before you who was willing to move, and I thought everyone would laugh at me so much if I was, but I always want to dance through it. I absolutely yes, absolutely. And then what about those pictures? I mean, really helped you look really good with those pictures, right?
Who's the model?
So, of course, Neville did do all of my headshots this last time around, and we just had an absolute great time. What was really fun was to look at the progression of how I got more and more comfortable, because one of the things I think is amazing about you is that you just help your subject get really comfortable. And by the end, it was, I was laughing and letting you snap pictures of me looking weird, and it all worked out great.
The key to it is laughter and just chit chat. Just keep talking about, about your kids, what you're passionate about, and of course with you, it's BNI and your kids.
Yes.
And your husband.
He included every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mentioned that we have some things in common. So the first one I want to talk about is you started off as an engineer, and you were an engineer and then got into photography. How did you get into photography from engineering?
Well, I mean, actually it was actually the reverse, how I got into, I got into engineer from being an artist, because, growing up, I drew. My art teacher saw that I had a gift, and so he wanted to invest his time into me, and so he asked me if I can meet him if I was willing to meet him every. I think we met about 3 days a week. From like about 6 to 8 o'clock until school started, and we worked on all of my, the technical skills and stuff. And then growing up in New York, there's specialized high schools, so I was accepted to basically it's basically considered like the Juilliard Arts of New York. It's Fleury H. LaGuardia High School for Arts and Performing Arts. But my parent and I got accepted to it, which was super exciting. My parents was like, "That's cool, but you need a career. You need to make some money." So instead of going to that school, I ended up going to aviation high school, and then from aviation, I graduated and went to, I got my A&P license to fix planes. And then I went to college for aerospace engineering. But then during like the first year, I decided to switch to computer science. And so I ended up graduating with a computer science degree, and I ended up accepting a job here in Huntsville with NASA. And at that time, it was supposed to be a 2-year thing, and it lasted 20 years. Yeah, basically, last October, it came to a point where the business, and it's a testimony to BNI too, because, even during COVID, I was staying very busy. And it got to a point, and I actually thought that, a lot of people, when I told them that I transitioned from my engineering job to photography during COVID, they're like, well, you have, that seemed to be a terrible time, and we were talking about, we both love pressure, what I mean?
Yes.
So basically I went, but I found that during COVID, I was actually working more and longer hours on my engineer job. So it actually took more time away from my photography. And so it just came to a point where I just had to make that decision. And I chose to love.
I love it. So your parents sound very much like mine, which was you have to support yourself after 4 years. Like, you're off the payroll, you must support yourself, which I am using with my children as well. Like, you must be able to support yourself at some point.
Now I agree with it. Back then, no.
Absolutely right. But it's also interesting.
You don't want me to live my best life.
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband, Sean, was similar. He was very much an artist. He was artist and then became an engineer as well. And he explained to me that it's very similar parts of your brain that you actually use in the creative elements of being an engineer and the creative elements of art as well. So it's really interesting.
Hey, Meaghan.
Yeah.
Wait.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh my goodness. What's going on? Why? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Did I?
The problem is that I did this on my phone. Should have done this on my computer. All right.
You want to jump out and jump back in?
All right. So I don't know how we fix it. Mic. Let me try the mic. Turn off my mic on.
Can you hear okay now, you think?
Okay,
no?
Volume.
So what is really also very interesting about Neville, as you probably could tell, he is not the smoothest talker. So the next part that we're going to talk about, which I just absolutely 100% love about him, is how he jumped in and is doing really different things and really challenging himself. So he'll be back here in just a moment. I think you're back. Did you log all the way out? Maybe I can text him. We'll let him figure that out. But one of the things that Neville decided to do, he's been a member for several years now, and he joined BNI as a photographer. He was also still working as an engineer, which is very similar to my story. I was an engineer still working for Chevron when I decided to transition to my entrepreneurial space. And what was amazing about Neville, when I first saw him and when I first met him, the first time his chapter Gateway launched, he stood up and he introduced himself, and I realized that Neville has a stutter, right? You have a stutter. You can hear okay now? All right, perfect.
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. All right, perfect.
Yeah, I had to come out for some reason.
Yeah. So, but I was just sharing with everyone the first time that I met you. You were at Gateway. You're standing up, and you have a stutter. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I don't know if I have a speech impediment as well that I can always hear whenever I listen to myself talk. And I thought to myself, how amazing it is that you jumped in out of your comfort zone, I would have to imagine, speaking in front of a group of people. And that's how you decided to start marketing your business, was with BNI and talking in front of the room.
Well, yes, your version of the story sounds so much more heroic than mine. I basically, well, for one, for me, I'd always, shy away from actually, public speaking
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so for me, when Lisa Smith had asked me to join BNI, I was like, oh my goodness, no, this is
Like, have you heard me?
yeah, that's it. But for me, it was a personal challenge, and the only way that I realized that I can conquer it is to just go it, head on, and what better way than then too, the benefit of it was for my business, so it was like, I had two benefits, and I was like, we'll just have to just keep paddling, until I got it. And so, yeah, the key was, I realized that it was more of a comfort thing than an actual, physical problem. And so, I would always get nervous, because I wasn't comfortable speaking and I was running away from it. And so the fact that, that I just forced myself to do it, like the fact that I'm on this call, doing this, it's just I would have worked myself up so much before that I probably wouldn't have been able to get a word out. And so, with me just forcing myself to do it, it became not natural, but it became easier, and then it became second nature.
Well, and I think the other part that is so nice about the community that you have in your chapter is everyone's rooting for you. Everyone wants you to, you just know everybody's cheering for you all throughout the time. So it can help you really, really relax as well.
Yeah. Because initially, they would just turn off the actual timer. BNI is very, it's a very, I don't like to say rules, but it's very intentional, and it's very structured. Because everything has a purpose, and part of it is making sure that you're in and out in a particular time, and I just thought that my group, Gateway, they really was like, okay, if this is more important than our time, and they would just when it was my turn to speak, they would just take off the timer, but eventually, I guess, as I got comfortable. And I remember the day when I came home to my wife, was like, babe, I got the timer today, and so that was an accomplishment for me, because I felt like, I was considered, I'm a regular member now.
I have to tell you, chills all over, eyes getting misty. I love a story like that, because that is your joy in the fact that you finally made it to where you used the timer, but also I always thought to myself, but I never asked because I didn't want to impose, but I always wonder, I was like, I wonder if they give Neville a little bit extra time, because it would be the nice thing to do, right? But at the same time, I could see your victory of just being like, I did it, I got it.
I did it. Yes.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your photography, because behind you right now is one of your favorite places. You said that was Greece, and that is one of your pictures. So not only do you do headshots and professional headshots, you do weddings, and you actually have some of your photography art available as art pieces as well. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it was part of my plan in going full time. Well, actually, when I started BNI, I was actually 90% doing wedding photography. That was my bread and butter, with wedding photography, and so was wedding photography. And when I joined Gateway, there wasn't a lot of wedding vendors in the group. So and then weddings tend to be a very personal thing. Um, you know, um, people need to know you, and it's more of a relational thing, a relational referral. They have to know the person too, and so I really wasn't getting much business, through BNI initially, as a wedding photographer, and so, but then, I was like, well, I'm a member. I see that it works, so my thing was, how can I make this work? And so I basically was like, well, I have a room full of professionals, and they need headshots. And so as a result of, trying to make it work, Headshot HSV was birthed. Which required me to open a studio, because at that time I didn't have a physical studio, because as a wedding photographer you don't need a studio. So I would open the studio, and then all of my initial clients, I basically was like, okay, for my BNI group, I need portfolio images, and so I did all of my BNI group, and then I was able, within a few months, I was able to launch my headshot business. And then once I started, decided that I wanted to go full time, and I wanted to actually, my goal was to have 3 sources of income, and then also during COVID, I really wasn't shooting a lot of people. So I started shooting like flowers and stuff, and I started going through all of my travel photos, and I started creating art from it. And I started doing like Facebook Live art shows, because I couldn't do physical art shows, and that started going really well. And so it just kind of, and so as a result, now I have Neville Simpson Photography, which does my wedding photography, and then I have Headshot HSV that focuses on professional headshots and corporate portraits and event photography, and then I have HSV and Beyond, playing off of the Huntsville Space and Rocket Beyond thing, HSV and Beyond, but also that features artwork, motivational artwork from Huntsville and beyond. So it includes all my travel photos and all that stuff, and I pretty much just find motivational quotes that matches the photos, and create unique artwork for homes and offices.
Amazing story of the pivot, right? I mean, that isn't that like the worst word? I mean, I think it was so overused in 2020, but you really, so what was that thought process that you had? Was it just, I really want to do this full time? I'm doing a lot of engineering now, and it's a lot more than I expected. I really want the love. Kind of, what was your thought process as you did all of these different pivots to become successful?
Yeah, well, it was out of, like you said, necessity, survival. I couldn't take people, I wasn't getting jobs at, as a wedding photographer from BNI, so it was pretty much being flexible and evolving, and thinking, how can I make what I have, during the pandemic, I couldn't take photos of people, so like take photos of things. I like to say the Brooklyn hustle in me.
I love that.
Hustler in me, that basically just my wife said, there's one thing that she's not worried about. It's like us ever having financial problem, because I'm always thinking of something, and then also too, for me, with the headshot stuff, once I started thinking that I'm going to go full time, I wanted to make sure that I can do something during the week. Weddings are on the weekend. I can only do about so many weddings and stuff. So to have something to do during the weekend, and then for me, the art part, a lot of that was stemmed from me wanting to give back. So I started. I started photography in my church and started doing photography in my church. And so a lot of time they needed graphic with like scripture and stuff on it. And so I would create that. I created one for offering time, created one for worship time and all that stuff. So out of that, I basically just applied the same concept to my travel and local Huntsville photos, and started creating art. And even like the Facebook Live thing, I couldn't do a physical art show. And so I was like, well, let me get on Facebook and create an art show in my living room. I even had the white gloves and everything to create that atmosphere. And it went over so well that I continued to do it. So yeah, it's just a matter of adopting, as business owners, we have to do that, to survive.
And I think it's asking yourself questions. I learned that really in the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey is just like, if you ask the question enough times, an answer will come. So like, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And the answers will start coming to you.
Yes.
Well, I can try this. And I've got all these pictures and I have seen your art. It is absolutely stunning. And and you take some really interesting pictures. So I want to call myself out a little bit. This was absolutely just coincidental, but Juneteenth is tomorrow, right?
Yes.
And you were on the show and you actually posted something about that because there's a celebration here in Huntsville as well. And you have a great picture of MLK Boulevard. And I don't remember what
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks. Yeah. I love that picture in your studio. Yeah. Talk about how that one came to be.
Well, I was actually I went down to Tuskegee. That's university I graduated from, and that's when I started my Neville Simpson Foundation, and that my artwork was birthed out of my desire to give back. So pretty much a great percent of it, at least 10% of the profit goes, probably more, because I usually set larger goals than I actually, So usually, I end up giving more, but my vision was I wanted to give $10 $500 scholarship to each department at the university, and so my goal was to go down to the university, photograph it, and actually create artwork and sell to alumni and raise that money and provide a scholarship. Well, when I was leaving, my wife and I stopped at the McDonald's, and as we was driving up, I was like, babe, oh my goodness, look at that. That's Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. And she was like, oh boy, here we go. We're supposed to be heading back to Huntsville, and here we go. And so of course, I grabbed my camera, went outside and photographed it. And then, of course, I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but it became, it's now one of my favorite. And I usually know which ones are winners, because my wife actually chooses to put those up in the house, and so that's usually my gauge. It's like, okay, this one is good because she actually put it up.
I love it. Well, and you do have an eye, because another story that I love was you were getting a picture of the bride's shoes, right? And you were trying to figure out, like, how am I going to spotlight these shoes? Mm-hmm. And you saw one spot in, like, next to a copier machine, right? One spot where the light was coming in perfectly. You stopped and like another picture was made. So do you just kind of catch the moments where it's like, oh my gosh, that would be a great picture. Let me grab my camera.
Yes, yes, and no, because for wedding especially, because it's so critical. It is so. You know, usually everyone is running late. You just kind of get things on the fly. I tell people my superpower is prayer. I mean, like like literally. I mean, because for me to sit here and say, okay, I have an eye, like a lot of time, it's just instinct. Well, also say that too, but also too, it's basically training, practicing your craft too, so that when you get into those position and God shows me those visions, I know how to execute it. Usually I don't, especially with weddings. It's pretty much I just go into do it mode. I'm instant mode because, but a lot of times I have practiced those things. So that when I do get to those situations, I am just, it's just all the experience with the prayer, with the vision, and it all just comes together.
It kind of comes together. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about BNI and how has BNI worked for you in your particular industry? You talked about pivoting a little bit and realizing, okay, I'm not getting as much as I want from the wedding. So, everybody in the room probably needs a headshot. This could be a really easy referral for people. But just talk through your BNI experience, what BNI has been able to do for you as a business owner.
So we've talked about the personal growth, but I also think too, for me, before I joined BNI, as business owners, a lot of times we juggle so many things, and usually we're focused on producing the product, delivering it to the customer, the customer experience. But a lot of times we don't think about, the fact that, okay, we need to market, we need to network, we need to do these things. And before BNI, I literally, there was no such thing as market. Like I was just like, I'm everywhere when it comes to that. That just went to the side. Plus, I was also, I'm working full time too, so that didn't really help. But BNI provided a formula. It's a proven method, that works. So and then also too, with me, I'm very appointment driven. If something is on my calendar, I'll do it. I'll be there. I'll show up. So and then like I said, a lot of times people say that BNI has a lot of rules, but I think that those I look at it more as guidelines to success. These are the things that you need to do that you wouldn't do. There's a reason why they set up these things, because it's not something natural that we think of and we often forget. So a lot. So for me, BNI has provided. Okay, I know. Every week at a minimum, I'm going, and then I'm gonna actually meet with my sales force, my sales team, and I'm gonna tell them what I need and what I need next, and they will, they're also trained in actually getting me those consistent referrals, which keep business and allow me to focus on actually creating and working with the customers. So for me, it's basically my marketing and sales team. Which when you think about it, for, let's say, for 2 hours a week, for an hour and a half in the meeting, and then an hour doing one-to-one and stuff. It's very rewarding, that you can just give that dedicated time, and it's on your calendar and you'll do it. So.
Yeah, I do. So two things that you said that I just want to reiterate and reinforce. One is, these are not skills. What you learn from BNI are not skills that you are walking around with before you get introduced to them in BNI. And I think even BNI people, the executive directors, people who've been in it for a really long time, automatically think everybody knows all these things. Yeah. And it's like, no, I've talked to people and they say, I don't know who a good referral partner is for me. Like, they're in business and they don't know who a good referral partner is for them. And so we teach you how to think about that in particular. That is one. And then the other one is, it's just success skills. I mean, it's showing up, being there, being reliable, showing who you are and how you are. It's just normal success skills that I think gets misconstrued as they're not easy. I'm going to say that it's not all easy, but it is just more success skills that if you can translate those even further into your business, will be even more successful too.
Yeah. I say, and then also, the good thing about BNI is a lot of time, it becomes easy when it becomes second nature and you're doing it. And so the good thing about BNI is that it requires you, to, in order to keep it going, it requires you to consistently do those things. And so it creates good habits in you. And as a result of that, it becomes easy because now you're not thinking about it. This is, I know when I go to a networking thing, that my goal is not to give out as many business cards as I want, as I possibly can, physically can. Now I am connecting with people. I'm having those meaningful conversation, and I'm also thinking about, okay, if this person is not good for me, I'm also thinking, okay, I'm part of a sales team. How can I connect this person with another member of my BNI chapter? So it's giver's gain.
It is. Yes, absolutely. It is. It absolutely is. So Neville, I just want to share with everyone where they can find you. You can search easily for Headshot HSV and find you very, very simply. Neville Simpson in Huntsville. You'll find him everywhere that way as well. And just thank you so much for being with us today to share your story. You almost had me like in tears with the timer stories. I appreciate that so much. And I think you're probably going to be my photographer forever. So until we have our next photo shoot as well. So thank you so much for your time and your boldness to be here. Like I said, I think the world of you for everything how you put yourself out there. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, next week we have another great show. Mitch Jones with Mr. Bug's Pest Control is going to be with us next week. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of laughter because Mitch has a great sense of humor. And I can't wait to share with you how pest control and building relationships really kind of works together brilliantly with his BNI membership as well. So until next week, we will see you next Friday, 10 a.m. Central Time, and have a great week.